Okay, and so here's the symptom to the problem. Typically my voltage runs at 14.3, 14.4, pretty rock solid from idle all the way up to freeway speeds. But now watch, if I turn on the air conditioner, maybe turn on the seat heaters, turn on the radio, maybe the defroster, you can watch the battery voltage just drop like a rock. Now suddenly we're at 12.7, and over time that will just continue to drop until pretty soon the car will just quit running. Basically the alternator's not keeping up with the load on it right now, and we're depleting the battery slowly but surely over time. It's going to destroy the battery if we don't replace this thing. So that's the symptom of the problem. Let's see if we can fix it. The first thing we want to do is disconnect our battery. We want to disconnect the negative terminal first. The reason you want to do that is if you're wrenching on the positive terminal and end up touching the wrench to something in the engine, you could get shocked. So disconnect your negative terminal, and that's really all we need to do for this job. Okay, and step two, what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect our mass airflow sensor. There's a little clip down here you have to kind of pull out. Once you pull that little clip out, right there, this will come right out, come right off. We're going to set that off to the side up here. Okay, next we're going to loosen this screw right here on this clamp so we can remove the air intake. Just simply get it off like that. Once we got this kind of on its way off, we're going to lift the air intake off. You got to be real careful. You don't want to break these little plastic pieces here. They're kind of fragile, but I've heard of people on the forums breaking them off. Just gently lift them off. I'm going to go around the other side, connect this side as well, being very gentle. We do not want to break the little plastic pieces. Comes right out, basically. And this whole assembly comes right out. Gives us some room to work. Next, we're going to undo this cable assembly here off the top of the alternator right here and just set it off to the side a little bit. And then we're going to remove the electrical connection, the main electrical connection. This is a 1/2-inch socket that we're using. This is not typical Corvette sizes. This is just a auto parts store replacement alternator, so we used whatever bolt came with it. But basically we're going to just remove this bolt and disconnect this wire. And there's a washer on the end of that. I want to kind of catch that before it falls into the engine. And that's disconnected. Okay, next we're going to put a 15mm socket here on the belt tensioner, and I'm going to have my son push it towards me, loosen the belt. The reason I'm having him do it is because the belt is kind of tight even when he's doing that, so we got to get it over this pulley here. It may take a little bit of effort, and we're getting there. There we go, came right off. Now I'm going to be careful here. I don't want to undo the belt from all the other pulleys. I do have a picture of the belt diagram around the pulley so that I can put it back in the event that I do make a mistake. But for right now, I'm just going to try and leave it all on all the pulleys and just set the belt off to the side here. Okay, and the 2 bolts we got to get get the alternator off. There's one right here, and there's one way deep down in here right under the pulley. We're going to do the one under the pulley first. It's kind of tight in there. We're using a 15mm socket, and hopefully we can do it with this short little wrench. Yeah, it seems to be coming off just fine. And a couple turns, and I can already feel it coming loose. We'll go ahead and get this top one loose. And once we got them both loose, we should be able to move them out here by hand. Okay, now I've got both bolts out. I'm going to go ahead and put them up here so I don't lose track of them. Put my wrench up here. And then we're going to just gently remove the alternator from the engine. Go ahead. What I'm going to do is use the little rubber handle of this wrench to get in there, give me some leverage just to kind of get this part moved out and not damage the connector too much. After we got that, we're going to just work it back and forth a little bit, lifting it up, and hopefully out it comes right here. Okay, it was a little tight in there getting it out, so what I did was I popped my fuel rail cover up just to give me some space so I didn't scratch up my nice plastic. And we have the alternator out. Okay, I'm putting the new alternator in. I have to work it around a little bit to get it right in where we want it. It was a little difficult. I had to pop off the fuel rail cover to give me some space. But basically now I'm just going to work it into position where we need it to be. This piece of metal was kind of pushed in a little too far here, so what I'm going to do is kind of just work it out just a little bit, just to make sure I have enough room to easily slide this part back in here. So right now I'm just trying to get the bolt in. Feel like we got it. There we go. And once it starts sliding in, it slides in just fine. But basically, we got that bolt in, and we're going to now slide the top bolt in, get them started. And get the bottom one started as well. And then we'll start wrenching those down. As soon as I make sure we got it going in finger tight, or we don't want to strip the threads on the mount, so it's going to take our time, make sure we got that going with our hand tightening first. And then once we're confident we're in there, we'll go ahead and pull the wrench in. Okay, now I've got that in there, I'm going to go ahead and wrench it the rest of the way. Okay, we went online and looked up the torque spec for these, and it's 37 foot-pounds. So what we're going to do is we're going to slowly torque this up to that. Now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and reconnect our electrical connections. Gonna slide that over there. The original OEM came with a small lock washer and a bolt that we're going to put right on top of there. Snug. And we'll get that covered back up with the boot so that it keeps it nice and dry, keeps the dirt out of there. We're going to go ahead and reconnect our electrical connection here. The connectors down in here was a little bent, was having problems getting this clip to go back in, but I used the screwdriver and gently nudged it back into place, so now we can just clip that right back on. This is tight, this is tight. Now we're going to put the, have my son put the belt tensioner and get me some slack over here. We've gone ahead and double checked that all the pulleys are properly threaded below. So now all we got to do is just get this belt over right here, which does take a little bit of finesse, but okay, now we got the belt back on here. We pulled on the belt tensioner, and when we got it right and fit into all the proper spots, it just went right on nice and easy. Go ahead and take that off, Matt. Before we do anything else, we're going to double check the belt path. We've got a light here, we're looking down here, and we had a picture printed out on our iPhone, and I can see that all the pulleys, the belt is on all the pulleys properly, and we're going to double check all that before we go any farther. Finally, we're going to put our air intake back into place. Gently work it back into the clamp. We want to make sure this has a complete seal all the way around. And then very carefully snap all these pieces right back over the rubber grommets. Just gentle pressure and they snap right on. Piece of cake, no problem. Now I'm just double checking that this clamp is connected all the way around. We don't want to have any gaps and leaks in there. We're just going to tighten this clamp up. And they're nice and tight. Then we're going to reconnect our mass airflow sensor. Just slides right back on. Push that clip back in. Make sure it's in there, not going to slide back out. There we go. I felt like it nice and tight. And finally, the last thing we're going to do is reconnect our battery. And we should be done with this job. And now you can see the battery voltage is up at 14.3. I'm turning on some things to create a little bit of draw. Battery voltage is staying up above 14, which is really good. I've got the defroster front and back on, got the seat heaters on and everything. So we're gonna take it out for a test drive, just to make sure everything's in good shape and wrap this one up. And we just finished our test drive, came back into the garage, pulled back in the garage right now. I have just about everything electronic that I can think of to turn on in the car. The headlights are on, the defroster on the front is on, the blower's on, full blast, the seat heaters are both on flow blast, and you can see the battery voltage is still staying up nice and at 14.2. So I think we've got this problem solved for this time. Thanks for watching.